Some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. Some legends never fade. And some conspiracies demand to be uncovered. This is Codename Unknown. Mysteries, conspiracies, and legends. Where expert investigator and host Jackson Wolf dives deep into history's most perplexing enigmas, chilling folklore, and secretive cover-ups. Each week, he pushes the boundaries of what we know, uncovering hidden truths and questioning the stories we've been told. The search for answers begins now. Open your mind, question everything, and step into the shadows.
Welcome to Codename Unknown. I'm Jackson Wolf, historian of rumor, ruin, and the stories that cling to stone. Today's solo expedition is Haunted Histories, the dark secrets of historic landmarks you never knew. We're separating documented tragedy from folklore and outright fabrication, asking why certain sites feel persistently unsettling, and how fear and power entwine to produce legends. I'll share a clear method for inquiry, then walk through case studies from the Tower of London to the Paris catacombs, from the Myrtles Plantation to Aokigahara, Poveglia, and Chichen Itza. Along the way, we'll test science-based explanations, confront the incentives behind haunt branding, and build a field guide for ethical, curious investigation. Let's open the gate carefully and look in, together. Why do historic landmarks magnetize haunted narratives? Three forces tend to converge. First, concentrated trauma. Executions, epidemics, forced labor, and disasters leave dense layers of grief that communities remember even when records are sparse. Second, liminal design. Thresholds, tunnels, towers, cells, and stairwells disorient our senses. Unfamiliar acoustics and sightlines amplify vigilance and dread. Third, gaps in the record. Missing ledgers, biased diaries, and sanitized plaques create interpretive vacuums that rumor eagerly fills. Add night tours, theatrical lighting, and suggestive signage, and expectation becomes an accelerant. The result is not merely superstition, it is social storytelling that encodes anxieties about power, guilt, and belonging. When a site keeps reappearing in ghost lore, treat it as a signal. Something unresolved, political, ethical, or architectural, is asking for attention, and the haunting is the language used to ask. Start there, not with shadows alone. Here's a compact method you can carry into any allegedly haunted site. Step 1. Map sources. Separate primary materials, court rolls, parish registers, architectural plans, newspapers, excavation notes, from secondary retellings, tour scripts, and blogs. Step 2. Timeline it. Ask whether the ghost story appears close to the supposed event or centuries later, often coinciding with restorations, anniversaries, or tourism campaigns. Step 3. Evaluate witnesses. Multiple independent accounts describing sensory details under mundane conditions outrank a single late-night shock with cameras rolling. Step 4. Audit claims. Red flags include precise body counts without documents, anachronistic details, recycled plots, and evidence that only surfaces behind paywalls. Step 5. Test the environment. Note wind, temperature, lighting, acoustics, nearby traffic, and any machinery. Step 6. Compare motives. Who benefits? From fear, funding, prestige, or distraction? Finally, document everything, including uncertainties. Skepticism plus curiosity is a productive stance. Ask what would falsify your favorite hypothesis, then revise. Let's start with Power's architecture. The Tower of London concentrates 8 centuries of state violence, imprisonments, show trials, and beheadings. Anne Boleyn's reported specter is the headliner, but trace the sources and you'll find most sightings surge in the 19th century, when Gothic sensibilities and imperial pageantry embraced dread as national theater. The Raven myth, too, Ravens Must Remain or The Realm Falls, crystallizes anxiety about sovereignty. Here, haunting reinforces political continuity while dramatizing punishment spectacle. Now shift to Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. Its radial plan, skylit cells, and early solitary confinement created sensory deprivation long before psychologists studied its harms. Reports of footsteps, wails, and shadow figures often cluster in winter tours and echo-prone corridors. Testable variables abound: infrasound from traffic, repetitive dripping, and temperature gradients. Former guards and restoration workers note fatigue and suggestion during late shifts. Trauma is undeniable: corporal punishment, mental breakdown, but many phenomena map to acoustics, airflow, and expectation. The ethical task is honoring documented suffering while deflating theatrical misreadings. Truth matters more than chills on cue. At the Myrtles plantation, the famous Chloe tale, an enslaved woman with a green headscarf poisoning a family, reads like Gothic melodrama. Historians tracing deeds, wills, and newspapers find no Chloe. The story likely coalesced in the late 20th century to serve tourism. What is documented is the brutal economy of slavery, including family separations and violence rarely spotlighted on tours. When a fabricated ghost eclipses real victims, the haunting becomes a cover story. The Paris catacombs pose a different puzzle. Created as an ossuary to stabilize collapsing cemeteries, they hold human remains relocated with ritual language and civic intent. Legends of a lost explorer found by his camcorder or secret societies ruling beneath Paris flourish online. Archives and urban explorers instead describe occasional unauthorized gatherings, graffiti, and hazards like disorientation and poor air. Here, risk is concrete, mystery is architectural, and respect is non-negotiable. Bones are people, not props. Treat them accordingly. Poveglia Island near Venice is often billed as a plague pit crowned by a mad asylum, forbidden because the truth is too terrible. The archival picture: yes, plague dead were interred across the lagoon system. Yes, Poveglia hosted quarantine and later a small medical facility. The sensational asylum horrors appear largely unsubstantiated. Access is restricted mostly for safety, liability, and preservation, limitations that act like bellows on rumor. In Japan's Aokigahara, the forest's association with suicide is heavily shaped by post-war media and guidebook sensationalism. Local volunteers practice respectful recovery and litter patrols. Ethical visitors should avoid pathless wandering, photography of personal items, and any gamified hunt. At Chichen Itza's sacred cenote, dredging uncovered artifacts and human remains, evidence of ritual offerings across centuries. The simplistic virgin sacrifice trope flattens complex Maya cosmology about water portals, reciprocity, and power. Archaeology gives nuance. Tourism slogans strip it away, leaving easy fear. Listen to descendant communities, read site reports, and ask whose worldview is being simplified for spectacle when blood is mentioned anywhere. Science doesn't erase meaning, but it does explain many eerie sensations. Infrasound, low-frequency vibration from traffic, storms, or HVAC, can induce unease, nausea, and a sense of presence. Electromagnetic fields from poorly shielded wiring cause tingling, headaches, and memory glitches. Carbon monoxide leaks produce confusion and hallucinations. Mold spores correlate with respiratory distress and brain fog. Drafts create cold spots, uneven heating drives convective whispers, reflective masonry throws footsteps around corners. Pareidolia turns random patterns into faces. Apophenia links unrelated sounds into messages. Expectation bias, especially in dim light, primes us to complete ambiguous stimuli with culturally familiar ghosts. Rigorous inquiry means measuring when possible, sound levels, EMF, CO, temperature, and logging conditions alongside experiences. Crucially, naturalistic causes do not trivialize trauma. If anything, they free us to interpret suffering ethically without inventing new torments. A site can be dangerous, sacred, or mournful without being supernaturally active. Measure first, correlate second, publish transparently, and invite critique. That's how folklore and facts productively meet always. Who tells the story and why? Tourism revenue rewards sites that promise a chill on schedule. Branding teams lean into spectral iconography because it's legible across languages, selling tickets, t-shirts, and after-hours tours. Preservationists face trade-offs. A haunt narrative can fund masonry repairs, yet it can also overshadow marginalized histories. We must watch for erasure. Enslaved, indigenous, institutionalized, or immigrant lives are often collapsed into a single spooky anecdote that keeps structural violence invisible. Push for interpretation that names perpetrators, systems, and survivors. Restricted sites, palaces, military facilities, sealed archives breed conspiracies because access is uneven. Sometimes the mundane answer holds security, safety, or diplomatic sensitivities. Sometimes secrecy masks embarrassment, negligence, or ongoing harm. Distinguish plausible deniability from pattern denial. If independent documents, whistleblowers, and material traces converge, the "it's haunted, don't ask" posture is a smokescreen. Demand records, timelines, and accountability. Welcome mystery where evidence ends. Transparency does not kill wonder. It protects people and lets the past speak in full. Here's a compact field guide for visiting haunted landmarks. Before you go, read a scholarly article, a site report, and a critical history. Screenshot citations. On-site, note time, weather, crowd size, lighting, and any construction. Record audio for ambient levels, sketch a quick floor plan, photograph only where permitted. If you sense something, mark position, duration, and bodily sensations before you interpret. Seek corroboration from someone who wasn't primed by the story. Never trespass, tamper, or pocket artifacts. Respect memorials and living communities. Afterward, compare your notes to archives and ask what would change your mind. Now, I want your dossiers. Send us local landmark packets, timelines, photos, oral histories, newspaper clippings, maps, and relevant laws. We'll select a listener-sourced site for a future deep dive, credit your research, and share our analysis with you and the community. Start today. That's our tour through haunted histories. We traced why landmarks accumulate ghost lore, concentrated trauma, liminal design, and archival gaps, then built a replicable method: source mapping, timelines, witness evaluation, claim auditing, environmental testing, and motive analysis. The Tower of London and Eastern State showed how authority and architecture script dread, while the Myrtles and the catacombs contrasted fabrication with documented context. Poveglia, Aokigahara, and Chichen Itza reminded us that restricted access, media frames, and simplified myths can distort real histories. We tested scientific factors without dismissing meaning, and we confronted power, profit, preservation, and erasure head-on. Your field guide is ready, dossiers invited. I'm Jackson Wolf. This is Codename Unknown. If the episode added value, clarity, tools, and respect, share it with a curious friend and send your evidence. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your notes careful, and your questions ready.
You've been listening to Codename Unknown: Mysteries, Conspiracies, and Legends. The search for answers never stops, and the truth is always waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed the journey, subscribe to us, and don't miss what's next. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning everything.